and because they're vertically integrated. And also the Arabs own all the grocery stores, neighborhood stores, party stores, liquor stores, discount stores, and food stores in the Black neighborhoods. So and then the rest of anything else that's in that neighborhood would be things like abandoned lots, abandoned buildings, vacant lots, undeveloped properties. So in the long and short of it, there is a very, very tiny, small economy in the Black neighborhood. But worse than that is the biggest one with the most money is illegal. So, and from everything from hot stolen property, anything else. And I'm not sure if I'm answering your question to make a long story short.
Yeah, you answered the question very well, and I think that one of the things that that a lot of us are trying to figure out, and this is my conclusion on this, and I'd like to get your thoughts on this before we move to the second part of your economic action step. You've always mentioned in Powernomics that instead of going to college to learn things like business administration, business management, Black people should focus on business development. That we should actually have, armies of entrepreneurs who know how to develop systems and know how to even set up businesses. Because if I have a family of, say, 5 of us, and all of us know how to set up and run a business and hire a team and things like that, then we can go into an industry and vertically integrate. If you have one person in the family that sets up a successful business and everybody else knows how to do it, then that business can fund the creation of other businesses. So I could say, okay, I'm running a successful coffee shop. Well, I want my brother to run the donut shop so people can get coffee and donuts or whatever it is, right? Or just complementary products, things along the supply chain, things like that. And I think that the challenge is that we have these deserts where, one person can set up a business and run it. Everybody else in the family got a job. Everybody else is going out working for a white man or whoever. Mm-hmm. And so you don't even have these other teammates. Like you say, Powernomics is a team sport. But if you don't have any teammates, it's hard to form a football team with one person. You have to have teammates that all know how to play different positions on the team. Can you kind of speak to that in terms of how education must adjust for our economic situation to evolve? We must adjust the way we educate our young people. Because what white folks do is their corporations, their businesses will fund universities to train people to come and work for the corporations or to build complementary businesses. They have a machine that produces well-trained people that can actually build these companies. I don't know if we have a machine like that in the Black community. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're right. But see, the problem is that that's what I was going to start. One of the things I'm going to begin focusing on again initially. That is culture and importance of culture in its negative impact or its positive impact on the people. And see, Black folk right now, if you got that tree again, I told the tree of life on your machine. Now, see, this is what you're getting to right here, that community tree of life. Now, keep it, and let's pretend now for a few minutes, Dr. Watkins, that Black folk got a community, but even though we know they don't have a community, because a community have to have at least 3 key elements to be classified as a community. That is, one, they have to have a wholly independent economy. There is not one Black neighborhood in the entire United States that has a wholly independent economy. There is none, so they're disqualified there. Secondly, they must have a code of conduct in that neighborhood that tells them how to buy, what to do, who to support, where to go, how to interact, how to plan for the community in case of emergencies or terrorism, anything. We don't have a code of conduct for the community. Our code of conduct right now in a Black neighborhood is do your own thing and look out for self first, forget everybody else. There no Black neighborhoods are planned. And this is a shortcoming of the everything from our business leagues to our Black Congressional Black Caucus. They should be planned. They should have an office in there in the Congressional Black Caucus that is a community-based organization that is constantly in contact with almost every Black neighborhood in America, planning as things go up or go down to let them know that there's a virus here. The virus is going to be killing off 6 Blacks for every 1 white they may kill off. and what the blacks should do and who they should contact, where they should go, what grocery stores they should go to, how can they survive, where they get gasoline. And see, at least one of the advantages of back during segregation, black folk then, even though they didn't have as much education then as they have now, one thing they did have, they put out a green book. And I talked about this green book in the Black History Reader. And that green book told you they could go riding and to open that book and say, now, I'm not gonna go through Atlanta, because if I go through Atlanta, I got all these racist businesses in there, and I might stumble into one of them and have problems. Or I'm not gonna go use this highway because we got cops along there who simply just sit and wait for blacks to come through. We had something to guide us that was in our culture. We had a cultural guide called the Green Book. And I think recently somebody picked it out of my book and said they made a movie out of it called the Green Book, something like that. But in the community of life, that tree says, this is what y'all gotta be prepared to deal with. You gotta be able to deal with these gender issues, the racial issues, and the ethnic competitiveness. And that I left out the horror of terrorism and viruses. But let's go down to the root. The culture there, the top thing on the left right there, like reading from left to right, is culture. Culture is extremely important. And the reason why we're having such a difficult time trying to establish things for black folk is that because we do not have an identifiable, recognized culture in the black neighborhood and in black America. Because right now, we're playing games with ourselves. Right now, we're trying to empower black folk by not using culture. Culture is one of the greatest empowerment elements you have available to yourself as a group. And see, we don't do that. We have a culture, but we've ignored our culture so long that other people have hijacked it and then used it to enrich themselves, Dr. Watkins. Nobody uses the black culture. They don't even know what black culture is. There are certain things right now that we could dominate in. I think I talked about this last week, and that's what we should be doing. Saying that if we're gonna build these businesses and industries, how do we build them? You can't just sit and just say, well, we haven't had any real successful businesses compared to other groups in 440 and 65 years. You should say, no, that's because we have not captured and controlled and held on to our culture for 465 years. And what we need to do now is learn how to build businesses and industries that are unique to black folk, ones that we can dominate from the bottom to the top. And once you do that, and you remember that 5-story building I told you about? Okay, so if we build those we build that economy on the first floor, you can always go up to education that you just raised an issue about, and say, now, what's the responsibility of education? If Dr. Watkins can indoctrinate blacks across America, so I use a 5-story building to keep everything organized so they always know where they are in that building. Anytime they can get on an elevator and go up and down, it's always vertical. It's not horizontal. They can go up and down, but they always know where they are. And they need to know where they are in terms of culture. And if they're on the first floor building businesses, somebody needs to go up the elevator and to the 4th floor and say, 5th floor to the education floor and say, now, if we're building businesses using our culture on the first floor, what should the school system on the 5th floor be doing? It should be clear to them then. You got to stop doing what you've been doing for the last 400 years. It ain't worth for damn. You have to be able to build kids that are qualified to come out of an institution, learning institution, saying, I'm now prepared to deal with the realities of our society, to deal with racism. That's one of the biggest realities. And we have to be able to deal with it in line with our first